Mr. Nunes is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Miller, do you know the director of the IRS's Exempt Organizations Division, Lois Lerner?
I do, sir.
Are you aware that she testified before this committee last Wednesday on May 8th?
I believe I was.
Are you aware that she did not acknowledge this investigation at the time?
Actually, I do not know that, but I was engaged in other testimony that day.
Were you aware that the IRS was preparing a statement to put out during this time last week?
Yeah.
Acknowledging
I don't
this?
know whether we knew at that time or not.
Wouldn't have Ms. Lerner known that at the time last week when she testified before this committee?
Don't know that.
Did you know that Ms. Lerner was going to appear last Friday, May 10th, on a panel called News from the IRS and Treasury at the American Bar Association Conference?
I knew she was appearing. I did not know the topic.
Did you or any of your subordinates direct Lois Lerner to make the public statement at the panel discussion acknowledging the targeting of tax-exempt groups?
It was a prepared Q&A.
Do you know Ms. Celia Rohde, a member of IRS's Advisory Council on Tax-Exempt and Government Entities?
I do.
Was Ms. Rohde's question to Ms. Lerner about targeting conservative groups planned in advance?
I believe that we talked about that, yes.
Did you ever have any contact, either by email, phone, or in person, with the White House regarding the targeting of tax-exempt groups from 2010 until today?
Absolutely not.
How about the Department of Treasury?
I certainly would have had some conversations with Treasury in my role as acting commissioner because I reported to them. On this topic, it would have been, I believe, I have to go back and look, but very recent that that conversation would have taken place.
How about President Obama's re-election campaign?
No.
Did you ever have any contact with anyone associated with Organizing for America or its nonprofit successor, Organizing for Action?
No.
Did you ever have any contact with anyone associated with ProPublica?
I don't believe so, but there was, when this whole thing came out that was previously referenced, I think the IRS might have talked to them, yes.
Something that would probably clarify your involvement in any of this, Mr. Miller, would be if you submitted to this committee your emails, phone records, and personal schedule from 2010 until you resign. Would you be willing to do that?
I'll have to see what's legally appropriate.
You know, we could subpoena those records.
I understand, and I'll have to talk to the lawyers in the agency. I'm just saying I don't know. You're asking me, and then we'll talk.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we work hard to get those records. I would also encourage you to contact Ms. Rohde and Ms. Lerner to testify before this committee at our earliest possible time. I just have one last question, Mr. Miller. You really are not taking any acknowledgement that you knew anything, that you didn't do anything wrong. You've said that numerous times on the record today that you did nothing wrong. So I find it hard to believe, why did you resign, or why are you resigning?
I never said I didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Nunes. What I said is contained in the questions. I resigned because as the acting commissioner, what happens in the IRS, whether I was personally involved or not, stops at my desk. And so I should be held accountable for what happens. Whether I was personally involved or not, a very different question, sir.
Well, I hope that you would be willing to submit all your emails, phone records, any personal meetings that you had in the last 4 years, and I think that would really, I think, keep your reputation in good standing with this committee and the American people.
Well, obviously, we'll have to talk about that, but I'm not saying no. I'm not. I just don't know.
Thank you, Mr.